Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, All Things Angela, and of course I'm Angela. And so I want to thank you if you're joining us today for the vlog. We're gonna have we're doing a seafood mukbang, whichever one you call it, and we're gonna be discussing marriage, ministry, blended families, empty nesters. We're kind of gonna jump around with each topic. So if that's something you're interested in, please stick around. And if you're still here, why don't you like, comment, and subscribe? And girl, don't worry about it. Hit the notification bell so you know when we come back on. So in today's video, I've had quite a few people kind of message me about empty nesters. We have 4 kids. Their ages are 30 to 22. And so they were like, how are you guys managing being empty nesters? You know, we're married, we're in ministry. How do you balance marriage and ministry? And then just, how do you manage marriage? And so we're going to eat the seafood and kind of share some of those things with you. And we're also going to talk about, if some of you are blended, how do we blend our family and what was that process like? So try not to make it a long video. We're just going to try to hit each one of those topics and give you the highlight.
This food we're about to eat, Father, we just thank you for your grace and your mercy, Heavenly Father. And Heavenly Father, we just honor you and thank you for this. We pray, amen, amen.
Amen. So now we're ready to eat. And so we have been married. How long have we been married?
A long time.
So what is a long time?
I think 17, 18, 19, 20 years.
No, how many years have we been married?
What? You don't know?
It's not.
I answered.
That's not right.
Then how long have you been married then?
It'll be 17 years.
You sure about that?
I'm positive.
I gotta go get the clock.
Go get the clock.
Nope, I'm eating. We've been married for a while. We in double digits. Closer to 20 less and not closer to 10.
Closer to 20. So I guess one of the things that we are a blended family. And so if you don't know what a blended family is, it's when a couple kind of comes together in marriage and they both have kids from previous relationships. And so I have 2 daughters, he has 2 sons. And so we've been together since our oldest kids were probably 9 and 10. And, now they are 30, both of them. And so that was, really a transition for us, kind of learn how to blend our family, understand the dynamics of I was raising my kids one way, he was raising his kids one way, and coming together. It was almost like a train wreck at times.
That's true. Because, both of us having 2 totally different backgrounds.
Right.
I think that's the challenging part. Is being able to navigate between 2 cultures. I'm from North Carolina, she's from Louisiana, way down south. And they do things a whole lot different. They got crawfish. I ain't never had no crawfish till I went down there. We used them go fishing.
So yeah, one of the things we had to learn early on was that my parents didn't raise him, his parents didn't raise me. We had to come up with the own, rules for our household, how we were going to co-parent, what co-parenting looked like, and that there wasn't going to be step, I'm your step, this, if you're in my house, I'm feeding you, you're my child.
Yeah, that's right. No stepdaddy, stepmamas, either mom or dad or whatever, but that, no hyphenated or anything. And that's how we raised our kids. And so it worked out for us because we both agreed. We talked about the rules, regulations. We talked about how, as far as discipline and finances and, we talked about everything. We had to have those hard conversations. I remember the first time I ever had to whoop Lex.
Our youngest daughter.
Ooh, boy. I had to send this one out the house. And I told her, I said, look, if you trust me, you gotta let me do it.
Girl, I was like, you be my baby.
Yeah.
I know she's a little thief and everything. She can steal all the money, but you wasn't going to be my baby.
Well, that's what she thought. But I sure tore that tail up, and I told her, I said, look, we can't do this if we're not on one accord. So that's one of the biggest things you have to do is make sure that, you talk about that discipline. Because one going to have to be the disciplinary, the other one going to have to be the love.
Yeah. And so I think that's what we really found a balance there because, some people I probably may appear harder, but I'm like, don't beat the kids. Oh my God, you're gonna kill them. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna beat them. Yeah, I'm gonna beat them. And so, just learn how to establish those guidelines. And I think it was important for the kids that we had structure. The kids understood that they couldn't come to me and say, well, daddy said this and this is what I'm doing. I'm like, okay, well, tell your daddy, come and tell me what you're going to do. That's what we're going to do. And so we just established that early on. And it was just so important, And so if you're a blended family, kind of like in the comment section below, let us know some of the things that you're doing that you feel is successful. Some of the things that you've done that you realize was not successful. Like, I guess like one of the stories is when our oldest son, and when we first got married, my husband traveled every week. He was gone. And so the kids had gotten their report card. And I was so excited because he was struggling in school. And he brought his report card home, and he had
all
his grade.
A's.
Oh my goodness. I was like, oh my God, I'm taking the kids out to dinner. So we go out to dinner. And so he's like, babe, that's not his report card. I'm like, babe, that is his report card. Stop being so harsh. Like, he's really working hard. He said, okay, well, we'll talk about it tomorrow. And so I think the next day was Friday. He came home. He looked at it. He was like, where's your report card at? Whose report card is this? And so, needless to say, he pulled it over on me because I was so happy that he was doing well, and I wanted to celebrate the kids. And he was like, babe, yeah, you can celebrate them, but we still have to understand the reality of who they are and what they're capable of. And, so that was a lesson learned for me. Yeah, trust and verify.
Trust and verify, because one thing about it, it wasn't a bad report card. He just wanted all A's for some reason. But you got to know your limitations on your kid. You got to know what they can do and what they can't do. And I know good and well he can have all A's, but this one right here, I said, baby, look at the report card. No.
He was like, look at the previous one. I'm like, we're not doing that. We're going to be celebrating. We're going to celebrate, And he was like, okay, celebrate tonight. We'll do it tomorrow.
I mean, she would took her out to a nice dinner. But,
yeah, hey. On time. We were out there, man. We were balling out at the restaurant, me and the kids.
And then here comes Dad having to be the party pooper. And so I just, hey, where's your report card? He went and got it.
And the lesson I learned in that is that sometimes we can have expectations, or our kids feel that our expectations are so high, because I think Alexia was younger, but, she was on the honor roll, but she was in like kindergarten. It was easy. And, so I had to say, like, whatever grades you make, I'm proud of you. You don't have to, do this. I'm not going to be angry if you bring home a C. If that's what you're capable of in this time, then we're going to celebrate that. I don't want you to feel that you can't share your truth with me and think that I won't receive it. So it was a lesson learned for my son and I. And it was, it is what it is. And we got through that. But I think another thing I want to talk about is... it's about being empty nesters. And so our youngest daughter just graduated from college. But before she graduated from college, we had been together. So we've been together since our youngest daughter was like 1 year old. And so during that time, maybe 17 years that we've been probably just together. One of the things we had to realize is like, okay, what does marriage look like with just the two of us? Because remember, we're blended. We brought kids into the relationship. And so now that the last one was leaving, it was like, can we do this?
Yeah.
Can we be together?
That was actually a hard conversation.
Do I like you?
But sometimes I don't like her. And so we had to really talk about it.
You don't like me?
Yeah. God said I had to love you. He said nothing about like.
You said like.
But here's the thing, we had to really sit down and talk because Lex was our buffer. She was our safety net. And so anytime, my wife did something wrong, Lex would go tell her about herself.
Oh, because you don't do anything wrong.
I don't do nothing wrong.
Girl, let me drink this ginger beer.
Yeah, drink it, girl, drink it. But that was the one thing, because then, that safety net is gone. So then we had to be like, well, how are we going to communicate? Because there's just the two of us in the house now.
Yeah, and she was always the mediator, she was the mediator or we were both doing something for her.
Yeah.
And what happens when it's just the two of you, And, maybe if you're in a traditional marriage and you got married and you didn't have any kids and you had that time, or it was just the two of you, we had never had that time before. And so we didn't know what it looked like. We didn't know what to do with it. We started talking about it before she graduated high school because we knew she was leaving for college. And we had to have the hard conversation like, okay, we've been together for a while. Can we do this? Are you still in love with me? And it was a hard question because, like, what if he said no? Or what if he asked me, are you still in love with me? And I said no. And so we had to really begin to reestablish our relationship. And so we had to date each other again. Because when I met my husband, I was in my 30s, and I was different. I wasn't the same woman that he met.
We had to we had to find out who we were as individuals without kids.
Yeah.
And so it was like, what are your likes, your dislikes? What does date night look like without having to go home and get the babysitter? You can stay out all night now. So that was new. Being able just to hang out, go to the beach, go to a jazz club. It was different. So the more we started doing, the more we started liking. Huh?
But I also think too, like, when we had the conversation, we were really honest with each other. Like, okay, where are we? And I think that's about, like, can we do this? And it was very real for me because I'm like, I had never been with my husband without
a child.
All right, without a child. Like, when we met, like, the youngest, Lexi was she was 1.5. So she went on the dates with us. She was always, you can have that baby. She was always on the date with us. And so, like, she was moving, she was going to college. Like, what were we going to do? So I was like, man, how are people married 20 years and then when their last child leaves, they get divorced? And I realized, like, I was like, man. And we didn't have the conversation just once. We were like, okay, like, can we do this? Like where we are now and the next season that we're going into, what does our marriage look like?
Or what does our time look like?
We began to say, okay, like, what do you like to do? And we began to go on dates. And we would go somewhere. We would go to happy hour. We normally would go to happy hour. And we would just sit at happy hour, buy appetizers, and, like, what do you like? Like, what do you like doing now? Without, excluding the kids. And I think it was just so important for me to meet my husband at the place that he was, when our daughter left. Because totally different. Things that he enjoyed when we were in our 30s, like, we are in our 40s, is totally different.
Like, we went on a 36-hour fishing trip. And that was something that I wanted to do. So she had to, like, what do you want to do? And I said, for my birthday, I want a 36-hour fishing trip. And we went. So for 36 hours, we was on this boat. And boy, we had actually a great time. Did we?
We were 100 nautical miles in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico.
We caught a lot of fish. Oh my gosh.
But one of the things he wanted to do, he wanted to go and he wanted to fish. And so we did that. And that was a lot of fun. That was an experience. And I would go back. And so I had to start to learn, like, okay, what are your likes? And then we started doing things that he enjoyed doing. And he would say, okay, what do you want to do?
But that's the key. You got to do, you got to be willing to adventure with your spouse. And, so we've been to Puerto Rico twice. We, Jamaica, cruiser. We just made a bucket list of everything we wanted to do since we don't have kids.
And I think that, that's important also. Because I think in today's society, like, grandmothers are not like they were back in the day. Like, many of us still have to work. We still pay bills. Yeah. We still have obligations. When I was a little girl, my grandmother didn't work. She picked us up from school. She had snacks for us. And so it was just totally different. And that was one thing I really had to share with our kids. Like, girl, just like you have to have PTO, I have to get PTO. Just like you have a mortgage, I have a mortgage. And that was just a reality check. And so now when we have the kids over, it's, you can't just always drop them off. We have to plan everything because we're busy. Like, and one thing we promised each other is, like, you know what? We're going to enjoy life. Mm-hmm. We've been raising kids since we were in our 20s. And so we got to this place. We were like, no, this is our time. And I don't feel bad about it. I don't feel guilty about it. When we decide that we're going to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and drive to somewhere, we drive.
That's
and
right.
We decide that we're going to go away for the weekend, we go. We help our kids when they need us, but we work on our relationship. Because at the end of the day, as much as we love our kids have their own life. Mm-hmm. We're there when they need us, but we have to make sure that we're good. Because I don't want to wake up and be like, man, who is this dude laying next to me?
But you know one thing though, we don't take on their issues either. And so we let them figure out their own issues. We don't get, we'll help them if they need it, but with finances, we want them to learn. We want them to be, productive citizens. We want them to be able to handle our stuff so we're not their safety net. But, like any parent, we're going to be there if they need us. But we don't co-sign for houses, apartments, and cars and stuff like that.
The most valuable lesson I learned in my 20s was, if you need a co-signer, you ain't ready for it.
You ain't ready.
Because that means something you just not ready for it. And so, I feel that our kids are very, they're good kids. We're proud of them. But at the end of the day, we really work on ourselves. We work on our relationship. I enjoy this place that we are in life because, you know what, we're so blessed to have it. We're blessed to be in a relationship. I'm not worried about my husband, doing anything that would dishonor God. And, probably the main thing in our marriage has been keeping God as the center, in our desire to please God, because it's not that I'm incapable of doing anything, but my love and my desire to please God in my marriage and to honor God, I don't want to do anything that displeases God. And when I do that, then I honor my husband. And so, just learning how to do those things. And it has been a process.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a process. Keeping people out of your business. Like, just keeping people out of your business.
But she saw something in me, so I had to work to get there. But that just lets me know how much she trusts God. And so now we do ministry together. And that's a whole nother lie by itself, marriage and ministry.
Marriage and ministry.
But our kids, our older kids saw us when we was in the world. Lex has always seen us in church. And so we have to remind ourselves, our three oldest ones, they know when we won't do them like we are now, fussing, bills, struggling, whatever the case may be. I was telling my baby that I remember the time I had a car and the car leaked oil. And I had to put a pan up under it, and to catch the oil.
We were dating. And we were in North Carolina. And so he had invited me over to his house.
Trailer, get it right, girl.
Went to his trailer. And it was a really nice trailer. It was, oh my God, it had like the best bathroom.
Yeah.
That bathroom is nicer than our bathroom now. Man. Anyway, and so he invites me over, and so he has a couch, right? And so he puts a towel over this hole in the couch. And so I was just like, there's a hole in the couch. I'm like, it's not invisible, babe.
I just didn't want the spring to pop up. Back in the day, I ain't ashamed of it. You sat in the wrong spot, and that spring gonna let you know. And so I had to put a towel over it so it don't pop in the butt. But now I can just look back and thank God for how far He's brought us. And those are the simple things that we forget sometimes when we get married, get older, and kids, no kids. We forget how far God has brought us and how special it is to be able to sit there and say, you know what? Dang, I don't have to run and get a towel no more. I don't have. Now that we are empty nesters, we're preparing for greatness. And so I told my wife last December, I said, when this situation is over, me in the hospital, we're going to make memories. And you have to be intentional about making memories with your spouse. Write stuff down, man. Like I tell you, this year has been a blessing. Puerto Rico twice. We're about to go to Jamaica. We just came back from a marriage retreat. And that's what you can do to be empty. Look forward to it. It saddens me when I see couples, they've been together 20, 30 years. They done raised their kids. And then they get a divorce. Yeah. Y'all haven't even lived yet with each other, we done grew apart. Come on, what does that mean, man? You just got to redefine your relationship. And that means having a conversation.
Like, what would you think, looking back, what would you give somebody that is probably 5 years married, kids, blended or not blended? Like, what would be the best advice that you would give them?
The best advice I would give them is this. Don't trust your spouse. And I know it sounds crazy.
But
hold on. Let me finish, girl.
Okay.
Don't trust your spouse. But trust the God on the inside of them.
But what if their spouse, what if they're not believers?
It don't matter. If one of them is a believer, guess what? You pray to God. Because I tell everybody, God is our manufacturer. He created us. So since he created us, when you have an issue with your spouse, you take them back to the creator. You take them back to the manufacturer. If you drive a Hyundai, you're not going to take the Hyundai to the BMW factory. You have to take it back to the Hyundai. Since God created all of us, you take your husband or your wife back to God. And if you trust God and you love God, he'll work that thing out for you. So that's the best advice I can give him. And say your spouse is not a believer. That's okay, and you are. You still pray. You still give them over to God. Let God do it. Because I'm going to tell you now, God can fix anything.
Yeah.
Because I've seen how far he brought me. When he saved me, brought me out that hospital. He saved our marriage. He got me here to Florida. And when I didn't want to come, all 4 of our kids are doing good. Our grandbabies are doing good. And so it's like you have to trust God before anything else. The next advice I will give you, go somewhere away. Go somewhere. Be intentional about leaving for 3 or 4 days. Take your spouse, get rid of your cell phone and your TV, and just talk. Write down your game plan. Write down where you want to be in 5, 10, 15 years. I used to think that was the corniest mess ever. Man, don't nobody do that crap until we did it. We sit there and said, you know what? This is what we want in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. We want all our cars paid off in 2 years. We want a brand new house. And God bless us with cars being paid off, our house is being paid off. We both work, and we do great things, and we're able to travel. Write those things down. Make a game plan on how you're going to live your life. And you do that, man, the rest is easy. Just trust God.
So I think if you're in a place where, we haven't always been in a place where we're financially able to do that.
Right.
But let me tell you, child, you better call and get one of them vacation rental places. They're only like $99.
That's right.
And go black. I'll do the tour. Give me a free hotel room. Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna say this. I don't know if I can say this on the live though, but you need to be intentional about being intimate with your spouse.
So if you're still here, please like and subscribe.
Yeah. Before I get in trouble, I don't know how much I can say on this thing.
No, I mean intimacy is important.
But you have to be intimate, man, and especially kids and no kids, empty nest, or whatever the case you got. That is a very important time between you and your spouse, because you're sharing your prized possession with each other, and that's your body. And so when you do that, man, that keeps that fire going. When you just count them years off, count them days off, till them jokers are out your house. And
no, don't say that.
Why?
Because do not rush raising your kids.
I ain't say rush.
No.
Count them days.
But you don't need to count it. Enjoy, because we don't always get a do-over. And so you get one time to celebrate different milestones. And so enjoy the season of raising your children, because it's going to go by so fast. So enjoy it. I have no regrets about, raising how we raise our kids, how we, sacrifice for them. I have no regrets about that. So if you're in a season and you're raising your babies, raise your babies.
Raise your babies.
Let it be about, be a great parent.
Days. You can raise them, but count them days.
I'm not count. I didn't count days. What I did was count moments. What I did was enjoy the parenting. Even in the difficult times, I enjoyed being their parent, because I knew at one point, just like I left my parents home and I began to establish my life, they were going to do the same thing. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to make sure that I had instilled everything that they would need to be able to go out and be successful. And that is so important that you do that. And so don't rush a season. Most people's like, oh my God, my kids are terrible 2s. They're horrible 3s. And I'm like, you know what? You're going to look back. You're going to laugh at those things. You're going to laugh at all these funny moments when your babies are older. So enjoy the season of raising your kids.
One of your funniest moments with the girl.
Probably. So this may not be funny to some people, because y'all may get funny. But when Alexia was like, how old was Alexia? We had gone to the Coach outlet. That's not funny.
That's funny.
We had gone to the Coach outlet when we lived in North Carolina. And she and her bestie, like, girl, they still in strollers. We pushing them in strollers. They maybe 5 years old, and they were 5. So we're in the outlet. I'm purchasing some things out of the Coach outlet. So we walk out, we get to the car, and so they begin to pull out wallets and bags that they had put in the stroller and they had stolen out the Coach store.
All them about to go to jail.
Child. I said, I was saying about this, so I was like, we have to take these back. We got to take them back. And so he was looking at me like, what do you mean you got to take them back? We got to take them back. And, you know, it was very important for us to show Alexa, you know, you cannot steal. But girl, you were good at it, but you cannot steal.
Good at it. Her and her partner in crime.
Her partner in crime had them stole out the Coach store. And right with Deja, just her personality all around, because she was so quiet in so many different ways, and she would just our older daughter had like a little invisible friend, and so her friend would go everywhere with her, and so for the longest time I was like, and she's like, Mommy, that is my friend. I'm like, okay. We had to name her friend, so when Deja did something, her friend did it with her. And so people were like, where's her friend at? I'll be like, she's right there. You don't see her friend?
That's one thing about blended families is this, you know, God placed that child in your life for a reason. And there's something that you have, and you might, you know, they're not your biological kids, but your influence is greater than nobody else. So whatever you pour into them, they watch what you do. And that was the thing that, you know, me and my wife had to come to agreement that our kids watch this. So I wanted to show the girls that what kind of man they should find, and she wanted to show the boys on what kind of wife they should find. You know, somebody that love, they trust, they respect. And so now when the girls, they date, and my boys, they date, and they like, you know what, this is how I want. When you come to our house, it's peaceful.
Well, and also we wanted to show them what a godly marriage is like, because, you know, sometimes if you don't grow up with something, it's not always easy to identify. And so we really strive hard to just, you know, display a godly marriage, to honor God in our home, and to, you know, take them to church, and for them to see us working in ministry. And, you know, just so that they would know that we were going to be the generation in our families to break the curse of divorce, break the curse, you know, that we will come, and we were determined that the enemy would not have any of our children, that even in our worst moments that we were going to trust God, even that we had no words to say, that we would just pray. And even that we decided, you know what, I'm going to throw in the towel. We may have thrown in the towel, but we went in our prayer room and we just began to seek God on, like, what do we do now? How do we fix this? And, you know, and that's important to do, because there are going to be moments in life that you just don't know what to do.
And, you know, and we'll be the first one to tell you, we have not done everything right.
Not at all, honey.
It's through trial and error and the blessings of God. That's what it's about. Empty nesters, being blended families, but also being the example that their kids can be proud of, you know. Because when we leave this earth, I want people to be able to stand over me and say, you know what? He was a great dad, great husband, a great pastor, and a great leader. But most of all, he was a man that loved God. And that's the question you got to ask yourself. What will people say about you when you finally leave this earth?
And so I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when we have new videos. Thank you for staying. This is a kind of a long vlog. So thank you if you watched the entire vlog. Thank you.